you find, both evil and good, and the wedding hall was filled with dinner guests, both the evil and the good. We may go over that during this sermon. But when the king came and looked over the dinner guests, see, this is in the end, he saw a man there that was not dressed in wedding clothes. And he said to him, "Friend, how did you come in here without wedding clothes?" And the man was speechless. And the king said to the servants, "Bind him hand and foot and throw him into outer darkness. In that place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen." So we can see in these verses right here that when he says, invite everybody to come, that there's going to be a separating of the good from the evil when Christ comes. Christ did not tell us to separate the good from the evil. That's like having people in your fellowship that you may not think are saved. Don't throw them out unless they come in and try to pollute the fellowship with a bunch of pollutants. You let them sit there. Can you think of the other parable? It's called the wheat and the what?
Tares.
The wheat and the tares. Who separates at the end? Christ separates. We don't. But when we try, say again?
Goats to the left.
Yes, the goats to the left and the sheep to the right. We ain't got no business trying to do that now. Let them sit there and look like believers, act like believers. And that day, Christ is going to be the one that's going to separate. And that's what I love about the Bible, because you don't get all twisted up with strange kind of beliefism. Now, let me start off. Rejection of a lifetime. Have you ever been invited to an event that you never really wanted to attend in the first place? Think about this wedding feast. Have you ever been invited to an event that you never wanted to attend? There are a lot of people out here in our environment, and when you try to invite them to come to Christ through how you live and what you have, they don't want to go because they're looking at us. And my brother was telling me that somebody was saying to him, I think in jest, I hope it was in jest, that they hate Jesus in this rhetorical way. And I'm listening to that because that's a person that when they receive the invitation to come to the wedding feast, they're tearing up the invitation and throwing it away. They're saying, I don't want to be a part of that invitation. Are there places that you know that you would not like to lend your presence? There's some places that I would not like to lend mine. And there's some places that a lot of people would never like to go. Are there places that you know from your heart that you would not like to share the time in? You will find people that won't even want to share any time in sitting in a room like this and listening to a message about an invitation that Christ has given them to be a part of. Now, if we've come to know Christ, we are already a part of this particular invitation, so we know how to respond in it. Does the thought of being somewhere frighten you to the degree that you would pay any price not to attend? There's a guy that told me yesterday, he said, I would have difficulty sitting in your lecture when you are preaching about God on that level. I said, why? He says, I would just have difficulty sitting there. There are some people that are like that. We've all been there at one time or the other. But let me give you the big idea of this message. I have it right here on my outline. We're going to see that those of whom the kingdom was extended would lose their high privileges because they did not value the invitation offered them. The big idea of this message is that Christ is giving an invitation to certain people to come to this feast. And there are certain people out there that would deny that invitation. They wouldn't tell you flat out, but they deny the invitation. It's like, that's what denying Christ is all about. But why would a person deny Christ if they haven't seen the true representation of who and what Christ is? And that's what I'm going to talk about. Our emphasis is going to be on verse 5 of chapter 22. And verse 5 says, "But they paid no attention and went their way, one to his farm and another to his business." That is going to be the emphasis. They paid no attention to the invitation. That's a big idea. Why isn't the world paying attention to the invitation? The only thing that I can say is that what we are putting out, we have to be very careful, because since we represent Christ, we are what? We are the ones that are formulating the invitation. Since we've already accepted the invitation, Curly, we are the ones that the world, okay, how does the people that is going to attend the grand wedding feast at the end look and appear? We're to say they look like us. I mean, it's like, I won't give you the detail of it, but I was talking with Mark this morning, and I said, I'm hoping that in all of my relationships with people, that I would be able to sustain my Christian heritage and the way I live, and that I can influence the persons that I'm around with Christ, and that they can eventually see that. But then I also talked about the fleshly battle that goes on constantly in us, and how do we supersede winning the battle over the flesh, and so that the invitation might be the correct one for us. So this parable was intended to offer an exact privilege to many of us, and yet we too show by our lives that we don't value the invitation that was offered. Whenever we sin against Christ, we are not valuing the invitation. It's like I asked this Christian yesterday, and I wasn't trying to be facetious. I told him that there's two kinds of love that I see in the world. There's one kind of Christian love that we say that we have, but when you look at it, it is so arbitrary and so extraordinarily hypocritical. And I told the brother, when he came by to visit me, I'm looking for the real love, man. I'm not looking for this artificial kind of stuff. Artificial stuff where you raise your hand in the church and you say certain religious things, and you, oh, praise the Lord, brother, and all this kind of religious jargon. No, I want to see something emphasized in an individual where that love can take me beyond the cliches of Christianity. Because when you give out religious cliches and that kind of thing, people are going to see through that, and they're going to say, I don't want to go to that wedding feast that you're going to, because that's the bottom line. I don't want to go to it. Thinking about something, and I'm trying to help this brother if he views this. You're right, my brother, when you said to me, I know you don't believe that you can lose your salvation. No, I don't. I don't believe that. So why would I even toy with the idea that I've lost my salvation, and now I'm going to try to do something to try to get back what I've lost? I wouldn't want to get back what I've lost. What I have to do is I have to believe what I first studied about God. And so that's what we're going to do as we look at this. We have to be very careful the way we look at things, because if we don't, we're going to lose our focus. Now, let's look at this. In spite of the 2,000 years of people humanly rejecting Christ, God's purpose will not fail or fall to defeat, for only a remnant will partake of this special wedding.